Say it once. Say it again. Sucks getting old.
Yeah, it does.
Reach.
I don't recommend it. Don't get old if you don't have to. I told Barry that the other day. I go, Barry, don't get any older.
Don't keep going, buddy.
Even though he's like 30 years older than me.
How do you tell older people to stop aging? Like, hey, man, it's rough now.
What's funny because I'll sit there and I'll say something or I'll make noises, grunts. I'm like, my back hurts. And then they always come back with that snarky remark. You don't know what it's like to have back pain. I'm like, oh,
You don't know shit.
sorry you were around for the Great Depression, man. I'm sorry.
We have a guy. Oh, he's always grunting and making all kinds of weird noises. It's just bodily noises, He'll get up out of his chair and it's like, and then he'll walk. Like, he'll take 5 steps. All right, hey, what's going on? What are you doing, man?
This is Jimmy.
Oh, no, this is Rick.
He's pretty old.
Like, as old as Jimmy is, like, he doesn't make that many noises as much as Rick, surprisingly.
I don't think Jimmy moves a whole lot.
No, he doesn't. He just sits
Stationary.
there. Yeah, stationary.
Mad at the world.
Oh, pissed at the world. But it's funny.
Well, Christmas just passed, so
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Did you have any family events? Did anything crazy happen?
As per usual, like as per family tradition, at least you have to have one fight during the holidays.
At least one.
At least one. You have to have something. And in my family, there was no exception. We had our little tart fight. We got it resolved actually pretty quickly. It wasn't pretty,
Never is.
but hey, it got resolved. We still opened our presents at the end of the day, and we moved along.
Good. We also had a tart fight in our family. It was so Christmas Eve and Christmas Day is always separated. So Christmas Eve, my dad's side of the family always comes over and we get together and celebrate. And then Christmas Day, my mom's side of the family comes over. On
okay.
both sides, they're all dropping like flies. I think within the past year or two, I've had like 2 or 3 uncles that have passed, and so it's less chaotic, but there's still some stragglers,
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's funny. I had this cousin who I really don't care if she hears this. She got out of jail or prison. No, I think it was jail for I want to say it's Grand Theft Auto. She's a real winner.
Yeah.
And well, she gets out, and my dad's mom, my granny, basically has been raising her kids
Okay.
because she's a piece of shit mother.
Right.
Basically, I wouldn't even call her a mother. She's just there. But so I'm there, right? And this is all. I'm not involved in this. I just hear it through the grapevine.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm witnessing it. It's like I'm watching TV.
Oh boy.
And there's a part of me, right, that's trying not to smile too big because at some point, chaos is just funny. So I'm sitting there, right? I'm just oblivious to what's going on in a way. I walk upstairs in my in my granny's home, and I hear one of my cousins going, "Where's so-and-so?" They're looking for one of the kids, one of the 300 kids that are roaming around the damn house because there was a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm the only one in my family that doesn't have kids, and that's on both sides.
Right. Okay.
So all the kids are grown up, and they themselves have kids. But so go on with the story. One of the cousins says, "Hey, where's so and so?" And I was like, "What the hell if I know?" And they go, "Well, Missy ain't with her, right?" And that's my retarded cousin. And I was like, "I don't know." She goes, "She's not supposed to be with her. The court says she can't have her." I was like, "Oh shit!" So now they're all running outside, and I'm running outside with my cousin, just because like if there's a fight, I kind of want to see it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And I just immediately hear, "I'm gonna knock your ass out. I'm gonna knock your ass out. You know better. You're not supposed to take that kid." She's like, it ain't no problem. Don't worry about it. Mind your own business. We get back into the house, and then someone's screaming, she's got ringworm. You knew damn better. You knew better than to bring that kid around here. All the other kids. And I'm sitting there just, everything.
God,
I just
no.
immediately drop and like put my hands, tuck them in. I'm like, which one of you little shits has ringworm?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And I don't really know a whole lot about ringworm other than, everyone says you can get it from them. And I was like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now every kid that walks by me, I'm just kicking them away. Get out of here.
Get away.
Get. Treating them like COVID. 6 feet. Stay away.
Get back. Oh God.
And I had no idea which kid it was. And I'm not. That house was 90% kids. They're everywhere. Everywhere.
Yep.
One would bump into you, and I was like, ugh. I feel like you got to get quarantined.
Oh boy.
So yeah, that was my Christmas Eve.
That's good. That's nice. Well, like our tart fight was kind of it wasn't about kids. It was mostly like every year we go to my in-laws house, and like the last few years it's just like, hey, are we going back up there again this year? And the answer is always yes. Like we're going up there. Okay, cool, got it. But it's always Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We're going up there. And it's like, so this year was kind of like similar, it's like, so are we going up there again this year, both days? Well, yeah. And I, immediately I'm like, all right, okay, well, I guess we're doing it. Whatever, why not? I've convinced myself, it's like, it's only once a year.
Yeah.
I don't have to like necessarily deal with it a lot. So it's just once a year. Whatever. Suck it up. Deal with it. It's fine. So we go up there, and to my wife's surprise, it's like nobody's here. And then I'm like, so what's the issue? It's like, if I would have known that nobody was going to be here, like nobody being like her siblings.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to be there. She was like, we could have stayed at home. And I'm like,
That would have been some information that
would
have been nice.
that would have been really nice information, because
Yeah.
I would have been fine with that too. So that's kind of where it started. It started on Christmas Eve, and then it kind of like carried over to Christmas Day, and then, it's more of like just like how things are positioned around the house, and I'm like, stop moving stuff. It's not your house, And she's like, I don't care. I want to take these pictures. And I'm like, oh, dear God. And it kind of just blew over after that, and we just moved along. But it was hilarious. There's more additions to the family now. There's more boyfriends involved.
No, yeah.
Yeah. There's one of them got married, and then the rest of them are still boyfriend girlfriend situation. So it's funny seeing like the pictures, like as they grow, like more people are added onto the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, look at this person. Oh, look at this guy right here. Cool. And I always laugh looking at previous year's pictures, because then one fell off the picture, right?
That guy doesn't look the same.
It's like, hey, what happened here? And then it's like, I hate that guy. So I always tell people, like, hey, I understand that, you wanted them in the picture, but always take a picture without
Yeah.
that person in there.
You never know if they're
Because
going to
you
be there
never
for
know.
next year's
Exactly.
picture.
You never know. You can easily just delete that picture and then, hey, look how happy we were.
So
Nothing happened.
I have like a rule. I feel like everyone has this rule in some way or form. When Christmas is happening, or gatherings, Thanksgiving, whatever the occasion, maybe even New Year's. When I host Christmas every year at my house.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we all pitch in on food.
Okay.
This year I did 3 racks of ribs and then a brisket. I smoked it all night. I got up really early.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was up at 3:30 in the morning, and I started smoking the brisket.
Oh, yeah.
But there's one rule that it's like, hey, if you want this, bring it your damn self. beer.
right?
Whatever it is for the drinks.
Yes,
Whatever it is
of
you're going to be
course.
drinking, take your own. I don't mind sharing a little bit here and there.
Oh,
but for the
yeah.
most part, if I went out on the day before, because on Christmas Day, there are no liquor stores open.
Yeah.
So if you run out of beer, it's like, hey, we got a problem now.
Yep.
So I bought a 6-pack of Corona, and I went to go grab me another one. I was already feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I had some mixed drinks that day, and I went into my fridge, opened it, and I was like, where are all my goddamn Coronas? And I remember telling my sister's boyfriend, I go, hey, there's Coronas in there, man. Grab one. Grab one. And I sit there, right? And I'm mad. Now I'm fuming, right? Now
Yeah.
I'm a drunk, mad guy on a Christmas day. I'm like screaming at everyone, where the fuck are my Coronas?
They're gone.
And my dad comes
They
up
are
to me and goes,
gone.
I think Jerk, my sister's boyfriend, I think he had a few. And now I'm looking for him throughout the house because now he's going to get an ass whooping. and there's my cousin Juan. He goes, I had a few. I was like, you little shit. You almost got him beat up because you had the majority of my Coronas.
Oh, man.
The saving grace was he brought a 24-pack of Modelo.
Okay.
I like Modelo.
Yeah.
I prefer Corona over it.
Right.
I think I'm one of the few guys that does.
Yeah.
But,
I think it was funny, man. Like, my brother-in-law's girlfriend had a little party, get-together. It was not long. It was, like, towards the beginning of the month. And something similar happened, like, they kind of did their own thing, and it's, like, BYOB, same thing. But we drove up to Denver, right? So I'm like, I don't think I'll bring anything. So, like, I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah.
But when I get up there, they offered, hey, we have plenty. I don't think we're going to go through all of this. So if you want one, go ahead and help yourself to one. I was like, sure, cool.
Opened up Pandora's box.
But when I get up there, it kind of started out with I'm sitting there and I see the people that are joining in. And it was a different crowd, dude. It's not the crowd that you and me hang out with, right?
Not the usuals.
Not the usuals,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just looking at these people, and I'm like, oh boy. So I'm sitting there, right? Like, arguably the most pissed off person there. Like, I felt like I was like the most mature one there. They were all adults, by the way, but I felt like I just was the most mature there.
And now, when you say mature, do you think mature in the aspect of...
I wear white socks. That level of maturity. I wear white socks. These people were wearing socks with flowers and little fun stuff on there, and I'm like, okay.
Now, intellectually, do you think... Could they hold a conversation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. I think they were all college people, like...
Do they get offended very easily?
I think so. Yes,
okay.
probably more than likely.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But here am I going with the story, right? Like, so I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm just sitting there, just looking at these people, and I'm like, oh man, oh boy. Okay, I guess we're here for her birthday, right? And we're gonna have a good time. Birthday girl's friend, she comes over, she says hi, hey, how you guys doing, blah blah blah, etc., and she looks at me, kind of sees my demeanor. Would you like a beer? Yes, please. Yes, thank you for that. If I would have known beforehand, then I probably would have like grabbed like a 6-pack or something, but I was like, yes, please, thank you, yes. And they have all the beer outside in the balcony area. It was cold out that day, so kind of made sense. So I said, all right, whatever. So we go out there, and she's like, okay, we got beer right here in this cooler. There was like a few coolers, but the first cooler that she directs me to, she's like, we have some beer in here. And she opens it up, and it's nothing but White Claws. And I said, you call that beer?
I'd rather drink water.
I said, just give me tap water at this point.
Yeah.
Just I'm fine. I'm good. She's like, oh, yeah, we have plenty of it, like they're really good. And I was like,
I'd rather drink Ram's piss.
I was like, well, that's nice. That's really nice. Okay. And then she's like, well, if you don't like that, we have Corona right here. So here I am looking at this Corona. I was like, oh, sweet. There's only a 6-pack
Okay.
of Corona, right?
Yep.
So I sat there and she's like, yeah, go ahead and grab one if you'd like. And I'm like, is this somebody's? She's like, oh, no, it's fine. You can go ahead and grab it. Who would bring only a 6-pack if it wasn't just for themselves, like
That's usually the rule of thumb. If you're going to a party and you bring only one 6-pack of something, it's probably because it's your own personal stuff.
Exactly.
Because on average, goddamn animals out there, 6-7 beers, I'm golden. So
That's it. Yeah.
So a 6-pack usually does it. I'm happy. I'm content.
Yeah.
Throughout for the event. The night.
Exactly. That's either for me or me and one other person. Like I say, if it's just two of us or whatever, hey, we'll share the 6-pack. We're not trying to get too crazy, whatever. Or if it's just a party and I bring it, then that's for me personally, for me, right?
Yep.
And I kind of sat there wondering. I'm like, I don't think this is for sharing. I'm sorry, but I don't think this is for sharing.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's okay. Go ahead and grab one. If you'd like one, go ahead and grab it. I was like, I don't know.
Look at you being considerate.
And then I sit there and I'm looking at these beers and I'm like, man, a Corona would be really nice right now. I said, well, if she's offering, I guess, and I grab one and I look at it and like guilt just overflowing me. And I was like, oh my God, if this was me, if I brought dude, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
And then I just happened to look down and I see a little sandwich baggie with diced up limes.
Oh yeah, that is
and I was
100%.
Oh no,
Someone's personal stash.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I put it down immediately, and she's like, "Okay, well, we have more beer over here." And then she opens up the cooler, and I see Silver Bullets, and I was like, "Oh, thank God." I see Coors Light, and I was like, "Oh, God bless America." You know what? It's that'll do. That will do.
You had me in the first half.
I was like,
with the White Claws.
That's exactly what I said, right? So I go for the Silver Bullet, and I come up, and she's like, "Oh, we also have these Montuckies," and I was like, "What the hell's a Montucky?"
I've never heard of a Montucky.
Right? Never heard of it in my life. She's like, "Oh, it's kind of like another kind of beer," and I sat there. I was like, "I think I'm good with the Coors Light." She's like, "Have you ever tried them?" No, I have not.
I'll try any beer at least once.
And then she said, "You should try it." And I was like, "Is it like a seltzer?" No. Okay. I guess I'll give it a try. So I put down the Silver Bullet. I pick up this Montucky, and I'm sitting there drinking it. And think of a stale Blue Moon. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it was. And I just kind of it was too late. I opened it up. I'm not about to waste a beer, so I'm kind of pounding it down. And it's like, well,
at least it's cold.
At least it was cold. Thank God it was cold. And then I'm just sitting there even more miserable now. It's like, well, I'm going to go for the Silver Bullets. And then my brother-in-law finally shows up. And he comes bearing a case of Modelo's. And I said, God bless America. This is why I love you. This is why we're family. This is why you and me are family.
We click.
Yeah.
We get it. You're about the only one at this place we're going to conversate with.
Exactly. I was like, oh, thank God. So I finally dropped those Montuckies. I bring it up, and I was like, thank you. Thank you for this. You are the only saving grace here. And I kind of sat next to him. I looked at him and I was like, hey, just so you know, I am judging everybody here. All of your friends. They're all sinners. All of them. Every last one of them. Sinners. But it was a good time. They all enjoyed, and we got home.
You get a few beers in you. It changes changes the mood, the environment. Just about anyone. Even if sober, I don't really associate with that type of people, or converse with, how am I trying to explain this? They have different opinions than me 90% of their opinions are completely opposite of what mine would be.
Right.
But as I get drunk, I can conversate with just about anyone.
Yeah, this is true. Like beer is like the universal friendship maker, you know?
It really is.
Alcohol in general. Well, let's just say beer. Liquor might do something completely different to the equation.
Yeah, that's funny you said. There's some people who say, you offer up, and it's weird because I don't have this, so I'm baffled by certain people when you offer a certain type of hard liquor or something like that, and they say no. They go, "Is that tequila?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course it's tequila."
Yeah.
I look at my skin color, but and he goes, "Can't have tequila." I was like,
do it.
"Why?" He goes, "No, I get angry." I was like, "You get angry? What the? What do you mean you get angry
Why?
with tequila?"
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? I feed off. I'm like a leech, man. I feed off other people's energy. So if I'm partying
Yeah.
with you and you are a chill, relaxed dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a chill, relaxed dude. I'm that pit bull.
Yeah, okay.
You
I
get
see
hyped
it,
up,
yeah.
I'm hyped up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want to fight? I don't even know why I want to fight, but now I want to fight too.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I need to be around, and that's why over the years I've chose to. I've selected who I like to drink with and who I don't.
Right.
Because there are times I have stories where I regret the night. I'm like, I acted like an immature piece of shit, and I embarrassed myself, and I get like, I cringe at my own
like,
actions. I was like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, and it makes you feel like socially awkward afterwards. You don't want to be around those people again.
Exactly.
Because you're like, I'm embarrassed. I made a fool out of myself.
So it's
like,
not like,
oh,
and I'm in
dude,
Vegas
oh.
one time, right? This is an example. I'm in Vegas, and I'm sitting there. I'm drunk. I'm having a great time, and there I was with a buddy of mine, Caesar, and he's betting. He's daring me. He goes, "I'll give you $20. You go do this." And for some reason, I do something I normally would never do. And we're at the valet front of I want to say Treasure Island. And to this day, I think about this randomly because I feel so guilty of doing it. Because if it happened to me, I'd be pissed. So I think I don't know if I might have told you this story before. I'm sure I have.
I'm sure you
I
have,
might
yeah.
even have said it on the podcast. If you're out there and you happen to come across this, I am so sorry for that night. This BMW pulls up and he goes, my buddy Caesar goes, $20, hop in the car, the front seat. And I was like, no. And he goes, so I instead of hopping in, I asked the guy, I go, hey man, you cool if I hop in real quick? And he goes, nah, this is my lady's car and she won't even let me drive. She's the one that drove. She got out and they're walking away and my buddy Caesar goes, $30. I was like, nah, dude, I can't. But my feet are walking as I'm saying it. And I hop in the driver's seat. I was like, what am I doing right now? I hop back out and what went through their head was this piece of shit's trying to steal my car. And I hop out and dude, I'm with a bunch of hicks that are at a bachelor party. And I go, oh shit, I'm about to get my ass kicked. And they heard that. And immediately just ding, ding, a bell went off in their head. And they're like, they turn around ready to fight the guy. And like a piece of shit that I am, I just walked away. I was like, not my problem anymore.
What kind of liquor was it?
Everything.
Oh,
I had everything in me that night.
Oh yeah. So all the emotions were mixed.
All the emotions.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot dance. I cannot. So if you see me dancing, you know I'm jacked up. So we're at Treasure Island, and there's a country bar in there, and I'm dancing. I'm asking women to dance to country music. I cannot dance. Especially the country music. I like country music. I can't dance to it. That's probably why the majority of the music I listen to is heavy metal, because all I need to do is headbang.
Hell yeah.
That's all I need to do.
Hell yeah.
But that's all. Like I said, going back to my original statement, that's why I choose who I decide to get drunk with now.
Yep.
Because I'd rather not act like an idiot.
So I have, growing up on the island, rum is the preferred liquor.
Is it
right?
Bacardi from
Of course.
from Puerto Rico?
Of course, right? So growing up, that's all I knew, right? Just rum. And that is my confidence. So whether it be dancing, asking a girl out, or being brave enough to ask somebody to fight, That's my confidence.
Rum comes in.
Rum comes in. That is my confidence, right? I get really confident and I say, all right, let's do it. And a lot of my buddies are like, are you ready to back that up? I'm like, if I'm starting it, I'm gonna finish it.
By golly, even if I lose.
And I'm like, yeah, even if I lose, even if I get my ass kicked, that's it. Rum comes into the equation. I get really confident. It's like, oh boy. So that being said, tequila puts me in a shit talking mood.
You're one of those guys. You got different moods for every liquor you try.
For every liquor you try, you have different moods, right? Tequila just makes me shit talk, in case, last year's birthday, I said some things to some strangers that I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
And I was like, whoa, damn. All right, cool. Whiskey just kind of puts me in a chill, relaxed state. I'm just kind of like, all right, we're chilling.
Now, are you drinking them straight? Are you just throwing them back?
Usually it doesn't really matter. Like if it's straight or if it's mixed with something.
I gotta have mine mixed.
So
if I'm pounding straight shots, I turn into sleepy, possibly even pukey.
Yeah, no. So like, I can't do a lot of sweet stuff with my alcohol. I remember I was growing up. I was back on the island. Smirnoffs were a thing, right? They were just barely coming out. Somebody got a case of them, brings them over to the neighborhood, and I try a few. I'm like, man, these are great, dude. These are awesome.
This is delicious.
I'm 4 deep. 4. And all the sugar, all the everything just kind of like
sitting well with your
ain't
stomach.
sitting well, dude. And I just sat there. I don't feel good. I ran as fast as I could. And like, these were just like, think of the projects, there's like grass all over the place and just buildings. And I ran behind one of the buildings and right there, I just blew chunks. Dude, I was like, oh, no, can't do it.
Blue chunks, which way?
This way.
Okay.
Yeah. This way.
Because like for me, if I gotta throw up, I'll run to an area where like it doesn't need to be cleaned up. Basically, I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
But like when you said you had to run, I just immediately thought, it's like, I gotta find a toilet. I gotta find a shitter.
No. That wasn't it. No, it was more like I need to go. Same thing, like a few years, like 3 or 4 years ago, I was drinking this sweetened peach whiskey. Same thing, dude, too much sweets in my alcohol. I don't know what it is. It's just all the sugar. It's like, doesn't sit right. And it was like right next to my neighbor's driveway. All right.
I will say, like, I don't really have different personalities with different liquors. However, I think I have an inner Russian because I love vodka. And I get super happy when I'm drinking vodka. If vodka's coming in, I'm pretty much having a great time with that, anyone around me. I'm like, I'm getting real. You could tell when I'm jacked up because I also start leaning on people. I'm like, hey, buddy, and I start touching and stuff inappropriately.
Yeah.
Not like, but I'm just. But I'm
glad
just,
we clarified that.
I'm just, I get real handsy. I'm like, hey, I just want to be affectionate. I'm happy. I'm having a great time. The vodka gets me.
I think vodka is what gets me violent. Not even like violent that I want to fight. I just get like just kind of tense, It's like, because like I'll be drinking. I think what pisses me off more is I'll be drinking vodka and I don't feel it right away. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's that state of mind that's like, this doesn't even do anything,
So you're pounding more and more.
Yeah, more and more. And I'm like, dude.
And all that at once.
And I'm just pissed off for no reason. I'm like, get stupid vodka, it doesn't do shit. So I don't really mess with vodka anymore. It's just not my jam. I personally don't like it that much. Just like the taste of it, because there's really like not a big taste to it.
I think obviously your cheaper ones are gonna taste like straight rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do think I've been to quite a few places now. I've traveled a lot, and when I go to some of these distilleries, and they teach you how to sample certain alcohol or certain liquors, and
Right.
you get a different understanding. So when I went to Ocean Vodka in Maui, excuse me, they pretty much told you, hey, you know, they gave you a little sample. They go, just take a slight sip. And they go, I'm not going to tell you what you should expect. I want you to let it hit your palate, and you know, you come up with your own explanations on what you think you're tasting, and then they'll have you take a second sip, and then they'll be like, okay, now that you have your own ideas, do you taste a little bit of banana? And I don't know if it's because she said banana or I actually
And then you're
tasted
like,
it. I was
"Oh,
like,
yeah.
son of a, I taste banana.
It tastes banana.
And so like now every time I taste that vodka,
Yeah.
I taste a hint of banana. And I don't know if it's that thing in your brain that's a memory. It just what's the term, dopamine or whatever. It's
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
filled with that memory, and you're like, I like this.
Yep.
This tastes good.
I see what you're saying. It's like
Same reason why I like Coronas. I
Yeah.
hated Coronas. Hated it. I thought it tasted like ass.
Yeah.
Until I went to Mexico, and it's a hot day, and I'm headed back to the bus from seeing the Mayan pyramids, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, he's sitting there. His name was Juan. He was sitting on a cooler, his shirt open, sweat, and he sees me coming. He stands up because I'm the first one back to the bus. Pulls out of the cooler a Corona, and I don't know what it was.
It was that sound that
That was the best tasting beer I had ever had. I was so hot too. It just went down like water. And I was like, I looked back at him. I go, you got dos? He go, Since then, I love Coronas. And I
That's
think
it,
it's
huh?
just a memory thing again. It takes me back to that moment in time.
I guess I've never really had that, honestly. There's a lot of people that when they taste liquor, normally it's with whiskeys, you know. Whiskey is such a wide variety, like such a wide range of flavors, and you know, there's rye, there's bourbon,
Scotch.
you know. So there's all these different branches of whiskey and like the taste and how one was distilled versus another, you know. And I know people that they taste whiskey and they say, "Oh, this one's a good one," and versus they taste this one over here and it's like, no, it's not good. It's like, what's the difference? It's burning all the way down. It still burns going down. What do you mean it's not good?
Have you ever tried Scotch?
Maybe. I don't.
So I know, I think, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this. I went to Scotland recently, and boy, do those guys love their whiskeys, their Scotch and gin. But in order to be considered Scotch, I think it has to be barreled and made in a certain or a particular place in Scotland. It has to be from one of the Isles in the Highlands, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's, if I'm trying to remember if that's how it was explained to me. What the hell's going on? You look confused.
You see this thing shaking?
Oh, yeah, I think I might have tapped this. I think I tapped mine and it vibrated it. You're hallucinating. You're drunk.
Freaking out.
Anyway, so like I went there, and there was this burly looking dude with a big red bushy beard.
Oh, yeah.
And he had that thick accent. And you know, I would try to impersonate it, but like I haven't heard it. So like I have this bad habit of mimicking people.
Yeah.
So if I would have been there any longer, and I keep seeing it, keep hearing it, I start mimicking. And I do this unintentionally. I have a bad habit of doing it. I watch movies and I mimic certain lines. But he had this thick accent, and he's explaining Scotch to me, whiskeys, and the aromas, you could smell some of them. And I was like, it smells amazing. So he grabs me the Scotch, the single malt Scotch, and he pours me. I'm telling you, it was a drip, and then a whisper. And he hands it to me and he goes, take a sip of that. I go, how am I going to take a sip of a sip? I go, there's nothing in here. And he goes, take a sip. Don't slam it back like a stupid American. And I was like, all right. So I go, yeah, just a little kiss of it to get it in my mouth. And this flavor just flies into my mouth. I mean, my whole mouth is on fire for a second, and then it stops. And then what replaced it was a smoky fill.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was as if I put my mouth on a smoker, on the exhaust of a smoker, and just inhaled nothing but the smoke.
Yeah.
And you could taste the smoke that was charred on the barrels and stuff. It was so good right there and then. And I don't drink whiskeys. I don't drink scotches. I was like, get me a goddamn bottle of that.
Give me a bottle.
And I have it sitting at the top of my bar.
Excellent.
When we're done here, I opened it for the first time yesterday. I'm going to let you take a sip of
sip?
it. A sip, yeah. It's a special occasion drink.
Nice.
Only for like those Christmas days or my birthday. Yeah, something real special.
That's
Pop
good.
that thing open.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, like it I never really understood like all the flavoring behind whiskey. I guess I just haven't had the right whiskey, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Cuz I mean, maybe I'm just an uncultured swine, but I'll take a shot of like the good stuff and a shot of the crappy stuff, and it all burns the same to me.
It all
dude.
tastes-
It all.
It was kind of cool because he was explaining it to me, like,
Yeah.
He goes, the way he explained it, and I'll try to remember exactly word for word, but he goes, the thing he loves about whiskey, scotches, and stuff like that is because he goes, each bottle is like a limited edition. He goes, you have certain bottles that are numbered,
Okay.
1 through 300, and he goes, that's all from that one barrel. And he was
Okay, I
saying
see.
like some people obviously they go after the number one bottle or the last bottle number, and he goes, neither one will ever taste the same, and because you could get one that has more of the aftertaste that was left on the barrel towards the end, or you have that one that just had more flavor from the actual whiskey itself when it was made in the first bottle.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's why each whiskey is cool on its own, because when you buy a bottle, he goes, that bottle should not taste the same as the second.
Oh,
And
I see.
that barrel will never taste the same as the second barrel.
Right.
So I thought that was cool the way he explained it. Will I myself ever be able to distinguish those tastes and flavors? I highly doubt it.
Right.
But like I said, I'm not a whiskey drinker, nor scotch or bourbon. But that bottle that I tasted that day
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to like go through like a tasting. There's some distilleries out here that I still need to hit up and go through that process. But again, I just I drink it. And it's like,
Our good buddy Abe at work, he was telling me, we were going over all the places I've been and he's been, and he's got me by many. I like to think I'm a very seasoned traveler, but that guy's seen the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we were just going over the states, and he was talking about Kentucky, and he goes, normally that'd be a place I never want to go. Right? It's just not for him. He likes different. He's been there. He's lived there.
Yeah.
But he said, if you go to Kentucky, he goes, you got to go to the Bourbon Belt.
Oh,
And that's where
okay.
all the distilleries are, and you can go to like Maker's Mark, and when you take the tour, you should be able to buy a bottle and dip it and do your own wax, like the wax cover on the top.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to do that and take that bottle home. Which the minute I heard that, I was like, I'm not thinking
That's on the bucket list.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to try.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd definitely be interested in that. Oh yeah.
You told me you had a story to tell me.
So, yeah, I do. It's not my proudest moment. It's definitely more embarrassing than not. But hey,
I'm intrigued now.
so that's what we're here for,
Got my
we
attention.
we tell stories. It's kind of like an everyday task, honestly. Let me ask you, when you're about to grill, you're about to grill some burgers. What's your process when you grill burgers?
Process, obviously, so start off I clean the rack because it's probably got some
Right.
burnt-
Some old
some
burger,
old
right?
season on it from the previous.
Old burger. That's
Yeah.
like, huh, let's scrape that off.
I've
right?
only done burgers a few times. I preferably would get like a skillet plate. So like I have one that you could place on your rack.
Right.
Because all that grease, the minute it drops down, you have an inferno.
Oh yeah.
And if you have a lot of burgers,
it's not good.
Yeah.
it'll start coming up, and you're like, oh boy.
it's coming up. It's hard to control the flame,
Yep.
and your burgers are now burnt.
Yeah, I've had that happen before, and it's like, oh boy, here we go.
So I like
And,
to have,
yeah.
if I can, me personally, and like I said, I've only done it a few times because I like burgers, but for the most part, I smoke or grill, steaks, ribs, briskets. So I'll have, if I do it, I would have them spread out so
Yeah.
that way you don't have so much grease in one area.
Right, exactly. So much in one area. After that, you get the grill going, right?
Yeah.
What do you do after that? Do you I guess let me jump ahead. Your burgers, when you get them out, do you let them thaw out before you slap them on the grill, or do you just put them on there frozen as they are and then just kind of lay it out?
So if it's like the rule of thumb for any other meat, I would assume you'd let it thaw out a little bit.
Okay.
Because if you're throwing it on there while it's still frozen, I think it's a little bit, you're not going to get that even cook all the way through.
The only thing that I don't like about doing it thawed out when I'm grilling burgers, the meat is so soft.
It is.
When you put it on there, you run the risk of it kind of like falling between the grates. Unless you put foil or something like that down, which foil just kind of makes grilling even harder,
Yeah, it does.
because like you got to scrape on there. Pray to God that you don't pick up the foil with the burger, It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? No, screw
So
that.
do you, when are you talking basically like frozen patties, or are you
Yeah.
talking about, okay, so you're not going buying hamburger meat
Yeah, no.
and
I
making
got
your own
yeah.
patties?
I have frozen patties. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Then then if it's a frozen patty, I'm just going to throw it on there cold.
Good. How do you separate the frozen patties?
Now that's a pain in the ass. You basically got to throw a butter knife in there and and try to chip them apart.
What leads me into my story.
Before you say this, don't tell me yes or no, but I've noticed while we're sitting here, you got your hand bandaged up.
Oh, this whole thing?
Yeah, that little thing. Okay, go on with your story.
So there I was. The wife said, "Hey, we should make burgers today." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's make some burgers." I haven't had burgers in a while, like fresh
Yeah.
made burgers, It's like, hell yeah. I'm down for it. And I look outside, it's a windy day, so I'm like, "Dang it. Can't grill." Well, guess we'll throw them on the pan, get the pan nice and warmed up, nice and hot. Let's throw them on there. They'll cook just fine, no problem. We get all that set up. She's over here around the sink, cutting up like some lettuce. I don't know what the hell she was doing. I got the kid behind me, getting the buns ready. And I got one patty separated, It's like, all right, cool. Place one down, right? Second one is a little bit tougher, It's like, oh man, keep jamming that butter knife in there pretty hard. It's like, dang it. At one point I caught myself like I was grabbing the knife by the serrated part, right? And those butter knives, they're not sharp.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, right? So I go in and I'm like, oh, this is kind of dangerous. Got it separated, right? I look at the pan. I was like, oh, I can fit a third one in there. Cool. Yeah, let's go for it, right? And now I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, okay. I thought my hand was up here, and then I'm kind of going down, and all I know is knife goes through, comes back out, and I look at the patty. It's like, sweet, got it. I grab the patty, and it's like, why does my hand hurt? Oh boy.
You idiot. You idiot.
So I see a drop of blood comes down, hits the floor, and I run over to the sink, and it's like, hey, I need your hand. I need your hand. And she looks over, she's like, oh my God. And it's bleeding crazy. You know, you would never think it would bleed that much from that area too.
You just slice it right open?
Oh, dude, like it wasn't like big slice. It was like kind of like a maybe like a quarter inch.
Okay.
Kind of puncture.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a slice. It was more like a little puncture.
Oh yeah, you just straight
But,
stabbed it.
it just came down, right? And I was like, oh God, here we go. And as I'm washing it off, in my mind, I'm freaking out. I was like, oh boy, oh God.
That's a lot of blood.
I have zero tolerance for blood, dude. Zero. None at all. I see blood gushing out. Dude, like I've seen, you know, when you get those juicy pimples on your face, you know, and like a little bit of blood comes out behind it. And it's like, oh God.
There's a sight for you guys. Think of that.
So like I see it and it's like, oh God. In my head, I'm like, oh, well, does that need a stitch? Ew, I don't know. And my wife's like, what do we do? What do we do? I was like, shut up. Calm the hell down. Get a bandage. Get a gauze. So she gets a gauze, puts it on there, you know, and I'm putting pressure on there. It's like, well, let me see if the bleeding stops, and then we'll evaluate if I need to get a stitch or not. And after 30 minutes, you know, I took it off. It's like it stopped bleeding. Like it was still kind of slowly coming out, but it's like
Yeah.
I could tell that it was already clotting up and starting to stop. So I was like, okay, we're good. We're fine. So I just ended up just bandaging it up and got some Neosporin on there. And now it's like, okay, cool. I've come to realize, you know, even though I'm right-handed, you take for granted how much you use your left hand for everything, for anything.
Oh yeah, I can. So it's weird, right? As I'm driving, I remember this as when I was younger. I wanted to start driving with my right hand. I was like, I'm dominant with my right hand. Mm-hmm. Why is it that I rely on my left
on your left hand? Yeah, exactly.
To drive, and obviously that's just indoctrinated, you know, throughout society as you're learning to drive. Everyone, even if you're right-handed, you learn to kind of cruise with your left.
It's weird because like your left hand is kind of like the thing that just sits up there.
Yeah.
Even though I'm right-handed, it's mostly my left-handed.
So I used to
that
sit
I use
there
the steering wheel with,
and I would try to do it with my right hand, and it's like you're forcing it. I was like, this doesn't feel right.
I think it's more like your left hand. You typically don't do a lot of like big movements with it. So when I'm driving with my left hand, I tend to just do like a lot of slower movements with it versus my right hand. I tend to just kind of jerk it around a little bit more, and it's like I go to just switch lanes and it's like, oh boy, hey, take it easy. Okay, let's go back to the left hand. All right, that was a lot smoother.
But 90% of the time, I do drive with both hands. I'm legit.
Oh yeah, 10 and 2 guy.
10 and 2, yeah. And I find it more comfortable. Like I legitimately, I'll just cruise like that. And
Gotcha.
unless even if I'm driving stick, you know, go down, shift gear, hand comes right back up.
Yep.
I don't know why. Like I used to do that. I used to drive with just my left hand. And then over the years, slowly that second hand came up.
2 hands, yeah.
I guess too many incidents happened where I had to get right into it. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this.
You probably also have a purse that matches your hat, you know, with the flowers
Don't be
on
mad
it.
because I'm a better driver. Don't be mad because I'm a better driver. It says the guy who cuts his hand open trying to split cheeseburgers.
Hey, the official story is, you know, robber came in and stopped him with my hand. You know,
you
like
keep telling everyone that.
That's why, you know, I told my daughter, it's like, hey, if anybody asks about my hand, you tell them I stopped a bad guy. All right.
It's gonna be pretty hard to convince that story when I'm out there telling everyone else differently. So, going back to Christmas just passed, you're aware of this. Actually, everyone at work was aware of this. I had bought my dad a special gift, and it's funny because everyone had so Christmas is down my house. Everyone came to my house.
Yeah.
But before, they went to their own, their immediate families, and, they opened presents there.
Right.
I still waited till the very end to hand out my gifts.
Okay.
And so everyone was here when I handed out mine to my parents. My parents handed me mine before anyone got there, but I was like, hey, I'm not handing out shit until after, food's done. That's how we normally do it. Slowly they've been changing it. I go, I'm not changing. I have a set of rules, and this is how Christmas is done.
This is it.
So no one knew in the family what I had gotten my dad other than my cousin Juan. And, everyone else was like surprised. They're like, I want you for Secret Santa. And I was like, you're probably not getting something that nice.
Sorry.
I kind of owed my dad this because I ruined his previous car. So there you go. I bought my dad a car. I bought him, and his dream car is a 1969 Chevy Nova. It's really hard to find a 69 within my budget.
Yeah.
So I found a 1971, which is still the same body style.
Yeah.
From 68 to 72. So that was I found one for $9,000, and I talked the guy down to $7,000.
Nice.
So there's a lot of work. It's sitting in the garage right now, but I handed it to him. He was ecstatic. I think he was close to crying, which was what I was trying to do. I was like, cry.
You better cry.
God damn it.
You better start crying, damn it.
I think that one tear came down. He's like, sucked it back up. Yeah, but
good.
Clearly he loves it. And, I told him when I gave him the gift, though, because I had the keys. I wrapped like 100 things of tape around it.
Of course, yeah.
Threw it in a bigger box, and then threw that box in another bigger box, and then threw one of my dumbbells in there, so it felt like it was heavier. And the usual stuff you do.
Yeah.
To hand out presents. But when I handed it to him, I was like, hey, the only way you can accept this gift is if you understand the terms and conditions. This gift is 65% yours, 35% mine. I go, if you agree to those terms, you can have this. Reluctantly, he wants to know now. So he's like, fine, give me the damn. Sees what it is, and I was like, that's why, So we're going to build it together, and, I have a lot of plans for it. But then it got me thinking, you're a gearhead, so I think you can appreciate this, or you have your own opinions on it. Do you have a specific movie that you like that is solely based around a car? Or it doesn't even have to be based around a car, but there's a car in it, and there's a scene with the car, and it's very it's very prolific. Like everyone knows when that movie comes on, they're like, oh, that car's in it.
So you would think that as good as Gone in 60 Seconds was, you would think that that'd be the movie, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. Although, like, I give no faults to that movie at all. Like, that movie was well made. Beautiful car, the Eleanor Mustang.
We'll come back to that.
And it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. All the actual gear wrenching talk that's in it.
Yep.
The gear wrenching that is made and the driving that is made in the movie. It was beautiful, amazing, right? But I always go back to the dumbest movie.
I hate you. Why would you pick it? I already know what you're going to say.
Fast and the Furious.
Oh, the first one, right?
The very first one. It's always that scene with the Supra, where he brings a Supra on the flatbed, brings it to Dom's garage.
Yeah.
And the gear when they're talking, and it's like, what?
None of it made any sense. They were just saying a bunch of parts, and then none of it was coherent.
What? What is he saying? But it's like, for some reason, I think it's just the comedy involved and the attempt that was made to try and like make it sound cool.
Well, I think also you can't deny, as much as I hate the Fast and Furious movies, you can't deny. I do like the first one, even though it's a lot of stupid dialogue. You can't deny that it started a a whole new wave, a whole new generation of gearheads, of people who love cars. It started, the street racing scenes and stuff, or it at least made it explode a little bit more.
This is kind of why I end up going back to that movie, even though a lot of it didn't make sense. It's just because the spark that it ignited in people. Like, I remember the theaters when those movies came out, full of piece of shit Hondas, Mitsubishis, as far as the eye can see. You know, it's just all these cars are literally about to fall apart. But it was cool to see that whole parking lot just kind of filled up with a bunch of gearheads. You know, they kind of like brought everybody together.
I do think it's funny that because of certain movies, it pretty much spiked, tripled, quadrupled the price of certain cars.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were so highly sought after. Supras now? The Mark IV
Supras?
Supras?
Oh, my God, dude.
If you'd be lucky to find one for like under 70 grand.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I think it was a 70 Charger. You'd be lucky if you could find that for under 80 grand, especially if it's completely redone. So, movies like that have made certain cars iconic.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, in my opinion, and there's a lot of people out there that probably more than half the world hates Mustangs. Probably because they're all jealous and you're losers and like stupid cars. I'm on the other half of the spectrum. I love Mustangs, right? So
I'm retarded.
And here, every movie that's been out there that has been pretty damn cool, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this because there are people that are like, that movie sucked. Nonetheless, the movie, the main car at the end, or the car that it was solely built around, was a Mustang.
Yep.
You have Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake with Angelina Jolie and Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, yeah.
Alan Orr, the 1967 Shelby. Mm-hmm. You have, and it's not based around the car, but it's a huge scene in it, and he's the baddest dude out there. John Wick.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He had a Mustang. His might have been like 65.
Okay.
You have, a lot of people hate this movie. I personally like it. Is it corny? Yeah, just a little bit. Need for Speed.
Oh, boy.
The Mustang was the main show of it until the end. Then they had the Koenigsegg Agera. And then you have the movie, what is it, with Steve McQueen, where he drives the Bullet.
Okay.
Four huge movies where the main car was a Mustang.
The Mustang was always like a staple. Like when it comes to like racing, like when you just think of racing, like the racing scene, a lot of times like the first car that comes to mind is a Mustang.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter which one, it's just throughout the years, Mustang was always geared towards the gearhead. The racing scene.
So much you can do with it on the relative cheap end of it, right? Mm-hmm. And you have now it's become more. What's the term? You have these Mustangs with more horsepower.
Yeah,
that are on the cheaper, and I say that very loosely, on the cheaper end that are obtainable.
Yeah.
So now you have young kids who got a lead foot, no skill. Mm-hmm. So they have a bad rep because people are getting mowed down by them.
Oh boy.
They're leaving the Cars and Coffee, and they're first gear, tires are spinning, and no one lets off.
I heard that a lot of those Cars and Coffee events, it's not necessarily in one state particularly. I think it's almost like nationwide now.
Yeah.
All Cars and Coffees are like damn near on the verge of banning Mustangs and Camaros and Chargers all together.
I can't fault them.
Because it's always the same story. You go in for Cars and Coffee. What is Cars and Coffee anyway?
Basically, it's a show. You're not driving them around. They're supposed to be sitting there. You walk through. You enjoy.
It's just a show. It's just a bunch of gearheads.
It's not a race event.
Bring their project car or their cool car. They bring it in, and it's that little Sunday drive that just to get to the coffee place.
Yeah.
Sit there. And just enjoy the day.
See what else people see. What everyone else
exactly has. Check out the new cars. Check out the Miata with the LS swap. Check out the little Nissan. Over there in the corner.
Look at my smart car that's got a Hellcat.
Exactly.
In it.
you would think that it's always like the Hondas, the rice burners that are there, you know, causing a scene. It's
No, those
not.
guys are busy down the street at the street takeover at the intersection.
Yeah. Those are still the Mustangs, actually. Surprisingly enough, no, it's more.
I
Chargers.
see more Chargers than
I see
Challengers.
more Chargers and Challengers. Yep.
Yep.
I'm telling you, those quarter panels are tough.
90% of them are stolen vehicles, man. That people, and I love it. I love it when I'm seeing these videos and I see all these people that are running in the middle because they're like, I want to get a picture in the middle.
Yeah.
I want to look cool. And there's some dumb vieja that comes running at the last minute, and here comes that Challenger swinging around. And palo.
Yep, there they go.
And I go flying. I'm like,
Oh boy, like
that made my day.
I still don't understand like what goes through these kids' heads that compels them so much to just go to these streetcar takeovers.
It's culture. It's they were raised.
It's dumb.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's I didn't say it was good culture. It's you have. Let's face it, they're all the ghetto retards. That
is.
you know
It's true.
that all their IQs are low, their credit scores are low. Someone had to say it.
Oh, boy.
If you are mad about
Oh,
that
boy.
statement, then you are too stupid to understand it. If you're mad about that statement, you probably fall under that category.
You've probably been to a streetcar takeover
You,
at some point.
if you go to a street takeover and you think it's cool to like back up traffic for miles because you want to do some donuts in an intersection, you're probably the same type of person that takes a shit and then stands up and then wipes like a goddamn retard. That's the kind of person you are. That's how stupid. Like it's
You wipe your ass before you take a shit.
yeah, then
Yeah.
you need to prep it.
Dumbass.
Yeah, so like it just makes me absurd. You want to do donuts? Cool. I'd rather you go to an empty parking lot. Go to a mall. You know that section of the mall that no one's at. Do some donuts there.
So like streetcar takeovers, you know, it's kind of evolved. You remember seeing I know you've heard of the channel, That Racing Channel?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
I think it's based on the East Coast somewhere, like up north,
I think so.
somewhere up there. I used to see this all the time, dude, and like I like the races. I like the enjoyment of the race when they do it. But I started not necessarily liking that channel because a lot of it was there was this particular road that they were always going to. And they were just blocking that road. Traffic backed up for miles. And it's just a bunch of kids out there, a bunch of grown-ass men, too, that are just sitting out there. You know, they don't care.
Yeah.
There's like $5,000, $10,000 on the line. It's like, no, we're stopping traffic. And it's like, if you have that much money, dude, go to the track.
Go to the track.
Go to the track. It's
Yes.
really not that big of a deal. Like, honestly, like there was people that said that they were traveling from across state lines to come to these races.
Stupidity.
So it's like,
man.
if you're willing to drive that far to come to a race,
go
you
a
know,
little
to like,
further to the damn racetrack.
go to
drag
the
strips.
damn racetrack. Go to the
Exactly.
drag strip. And I think, like, as I've gotten older, obviously, you know, I've seen and I've been to the street races, and then after a while, you know, you kind of look at it and it's like, this is dumb. This really is dumb. You're
That's
putting
you growing up and being more mature.
Yeah, you kind of like, you just kind of see it. You see that you're trying to have your fun, but then you look around you, you see the people that are actually affected by it. It's not you. It's not the other person that you're racing. It's always like the people around you. A lot of times it's not because you're putting them in danger. It's because people that are driving on the road, they're dumb. The people that are driving on the road, they're dumb. They don't know how to follow simple road rules.
Well, like you're racing on the street, right? They got this whole street blocked off, and here's my thing about that, right? That road is paved to go speed limits.
Exactly.
I don't know about you, but here in Colorado, our roads suck. In
Oh,
fact, I would
God, they're
like
bad.
for
It
anyone
is
out
bad.
there to show me a worse state that has worse roads. Like our state, they just care so little. And you know, I wouldn't say that
There's
they care
been
so
news
little.
articles about this too. Yeah.
If there's videos
insane.
as truck drivers driving from Wyoming into Colorado, like the road is smooth. And then the minute you cross that state line, pothole.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just bump after bump.
It's ridiculous.
These roads were, but even on other states, you're going to end up running into a pothole or debris on the road. Some animal might be crossing. You have racetracks that are cleared. They, after every pass, for the most part, you know, they'll do a walk down, make sure there's nothing on the damn strip. So that way the next cars are clear to go. Exactly. You have even medical on site. So that way, in case a crash happens, they can get to you.
Exactly.
Instead, you want to be a dumbass, back up traffic just for a few cars to go. And like you said, if you're betting 10 grand, why can't you go to the drag strip? Is it because if your car can go faster, if for those of you that don't know, if your car goes under 10, a quarter mile in under 10 seconds, you have to have a roll cage. That's I think it's NHRA rules.
I think it's under 9 seconds or
9
10
seconds,
or something like that. Yeah.
So your car has to be set up to be able to handle those speeds for safety.
A lot of them are, though. Have you, like, I've seen basically racetrack Hondas, which is, it's getting a little ridiculous. Call me a hater, but like at some point, it's like, give it up, man. Like, stay within your bracket. Dude, like, these Hondas can only handle so much, man.
They're cheap cars, but
they are cheap cars.
You know, so that's why people do it. I have seen Hondas hit well into the 200s.
At that point, it's not cheap anymore, though.
No. Yeah, at that point, you bought a brand new Lambo.
You're buying, damn near like a brand new supercar. Because the amount of money that they're putting into those engines, the amount of time that they're putting into the building it, outfitting it, you know, with a roll cage, you know, taking out all the interior, the seat, everything like that. It's like that's a full track car, man.
By the end of it, I've seen Hondas to where, and you know, I've gone to like events like Grid Life where, you know, they'll shut down runways at airports.
Yeah,
they'll have you know, special runways, and they just, people throughout the country come, and you know, cars are just hitting 200 plus miles an hour down the runway in a half mile. I've seen Hondas that basically it is just the shell. It's just the body. Everything underneath it is not stock. There's not a stock part on it. Everything, the chassis has been reinforced. Everything, it's got a full roll cage. The motor has been swapped out to something monstrous. So it's none of it is a Honda anymore.
I think at that point it's like the amount of money that you put into it, you could have gotten something else, you know, that is definitely 10 times a lot nicer. But hey, I mean, whatever, to each its own.
I think it's a statement, you know. People want to say you got beat by Honda.
Yeah, I think, and that's a dumb way of thinking too. Like it's just, I don't get it, man. It's just dumb.
I think the car community and culture is such a at times we could be so harmonious and, you know, on the same opinion.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's so many different
I think everybody
and everyone in a way hates each other.
Everybody is harmonious until you talk to somebody that's a Honda guy, you know.
There are a lot, but that's the same thing. A lot of people hate Mustang. You know what drives me crazy? There are people that are solely brand guys.
I think it's the person that drives
guys.
the Mustang. I guess you could say the same thing about the person that drives that Honda, you know. It's always like those douchebags that come in and they always want to make it seem like, no, this will beat, you know, whatever that's out there. This will, you know, I come with 480 some odd horsepowers off that factory, you know, no mods done. It's like, cool, man. You know, that's why they call Mustangs cheap power. Like, it
is basically.
That's basically why they say it. It's like, cool, man. Like, you couldn't afford the Challenger, so you got the Mustang. We get it.
It is always it is always funny seeing you know, have you seen those memes? No one tries harder than the V6 version of any car.
Oh my god, dude.
The guy that's always going from you know, flooring it from stoplight to stoplight is the V6 version of the Mustang, the Challenger, the Charger.
It never fails.
Those kids, those guys are trying so hard.
Yeah, it never fails.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to see those people because, it's like, so you couldn't fork up the extra $5,000.
Well, with today's inflation, it's probably 10.
It's probably 10, yeah. But at the time, I think, you know, when all those V6 Mustangs and Chargers and Challengers were coming out, it's like, listen, man, just go all the way. Just get the V8. Just get the V8, dude. Just don't mess around. Yeah. But hey, whatever, you know, to each his own, you know.
You know what drives me crazy is brand people. The people that, you know, they'll be like
Diehards.
Diehards. They'll be like, Ford sucks, get a Chevy.
Oh,
or
yeah.
get a Dodge. You know, the people that refuse to like anything. And me, I think they all have their pros, they all have their cons. You know, one may make better trucks, one make better cars, or every brand has their own high level performance vehicle.
Yeah.
You have Ford, which is obviously not excluding the Shelbys.
Yeah.
You have the high end one is the Ford GT.
The GT, yeah.
You have Dodge, which they no longer make it, but is the Viper.
The Viper, right.
Which is just, I love it because it's a car on steroids that said, hey, I'm not giving you any traction control. I'm going to throw a V10 in this thing and see if you can keep it on the ground.
Yeah. So
don't take any corners fast because
figure it out, buddy.
Exactly. So it was just a death trap. And then, you know, you have Chevy, which would be what? The Corvette, the C8.
Corvette, yeah.
Was there anything, you know, on the higher spectrum rather than the Corvette for Chevy?
I think that's always been
about it, huh?
their flagship is the Corvette. They've never really had anything labeled as like the supercar. I think, didn't we talk about this at work one day?
We might have, yeah.
I think we were talking about this a while back. Basically, Chevy just kind of changed it, you know, by creating the C8, trying to jump into that supercar territory, because like the ZR1, I would consider it a supercar, but for, you know, to check every single box,
yeah,
it doesn't fall under that category.
But it's so absurd because in my opinion, the boxes I'm checking, it does check all the boxes that requires it to be a supercar. Mm-hmm. You need, for the most part, all your supercars are a certain price range. Mm-hmm. It's well within that price range. The ZR1s are, or ZR1s, wherever it is you're from. You have the horsepower. It has plenty. So I don't think they've came out with any ZR1s for the new C8s, but they've came out with the Z06. I've seen them in person at the SEMA. Yeah. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Even the Z06, it has more than enough horsepower. You are in stock level high 600s, close. Yeah. You're touching almost 700. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of people sometimes, depending on the placement of the motor. So it's a mid-engine car. Mm-hmm. They swapped it from front to mid-engine, which gives it a lot more balanced weight distribution. It's beating a lot of supercars now, you know, certain Porsches, you know, the car's phenomenal around the
it
track.
Set a record, was it a few years back, you know, at the Nürburgring? It set a record.
Which is the place you go to set records.
Literally.
Like to prove that your car.
But again, by the standard, by the industry standard and checking all the boxes, it doesn't meet that requirement.
I think
it's up until now, until this C8 that came out. Now they're trying to like finally say like, okay, we belong in this category.
I think simply because it has the name Corvette, no one wants to consider.
I don't think it's even the Corvette brand. I think it's just that bow tie associated with it. I think that alone right there, because people think of Chevy as a common man's car.
I mean, it basically is. You know, it's your A to B travel car. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're buying the Corvette, obviously that's your. The Corvette has always been considered a midlife crisis car. It wasn't because, like, you know, it's not considered a supercar, but theoretically, at certain altitudes or slight tune, maybe a fuel change, you can hit 200 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
On a long enough straightaway. So, you know, it was always for considered the guy who hit 40 and is like, life didn't turn quite out the way it wanted to be. And let me go buy a Corvette. That's going to change everything.
It's going to change my whole life.
And it's way more obtainable rather than buying which when it came out, MSRP was $500,000 for the Ford GT.
Oh boy, yeah.
Now, due to the selective process and the limited run that they are, and they no longer make it, the Ford GT's over $1 million.
Yep.
So Corvette that you can get for what, 40 grand, or a $1 million car, obviously. So it's more obtainable. So,
Exactly.
or even your Vipers, which start off or within the 100,000.
Within, yeah, I think it's starting off at like
an ACR Viper,
something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I remember even the Viper, which was weirdly enough was tiptoeing on that supercar territory, even though the Viper is still front engine vehicle. I think it was just because the fact of like what the body was made out of.
It's so exotic looking as
so
well.
exotic, and then it was a V10. It wasn't a V8 like everybody else kind of portrays out. I think that one checked off all the boxes because most of your supercars, like your Ferraris and your Lambos, are what, V10s and 12s or
V10s, 12s, yeah.
So-
Unless you're Bugatti, goddamn
W16.
W16, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Have you like? I looked at the layout of that engine one day because I was like, "What the hell's a W?"
It's just the way the rods are.
Yeah, I was like, I don't get it. Let me look at this. Right, it's just basically, yeah, like it's still in the shape of a V, but you have pistons to both sides, to the top of each one.
Yeah.
And then to the top of each one on the other side, so that makes it a W. So I was like,
It's stupid. It's stupid.
Insane.
The engineering behind it it's amazing.
yeah, we got into the topic. I can't remember who I was talking to. We got into the topic of like what it would take to like maintain a Bugatti, and it's obscene. It's ridiculous.
So, that is something that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration when they're buying certain cars, me included. I own a R35 GTR, and it's not enough just to be able to do the initial purchase of the car. Maintenance on it is ridiculous. I had a while back had to swap out the rotors and the brakes. If you take it to the dealership or a shop to have it done, the base or the base pay for it is $12 grand. Mm-hmm. They're assuming you're using the car as intended, as it's designed. So they recommend you, if you're replacing the brakes, you got to replace all four rotors.
The rotors go with it too.
Pricey. I did it myself. I purchased the parts. Me and my dad did it, and I did it all for about $5 grand.
Yeah.
So I saved more than half the money. However, it was still pricey. Mm-hmm. I have. I get nervous because I'm getting a little lag in the turbos, and all that goes through my head. I go, if one of those turbos goes out, I price checked it. It's $11 grand per turbo.
Ooh, buddy.
It is outrageous. Out to insure my car. However, I may have an accident on my record. That's what's causing the insurance to be as high as it is. But I pay an outrageous amount.
Right.
The car's. It's on. I have a lot of it paid off.
Yeah.
So I'm getting pretty close to having it paid off. When that day comes, I can't wait. The amount of money I'll be saving just off that alone. So when you go to buy these cars, take that into consideration that it's not just the initial purchase, it's all the maintenance. And so far this is just daily or yearly maintenance.
Yeah.
That doesn't go into consideration of if something catastrophic
If something
happens.
goes wrong, yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, like, people don't think about that kind of stuff. I remember once upon a time I was 19 years old, and I had just joined the military. I was out with Uncle Sam, being all I could be.
All you can be.
And I don't remember how I got to it, but I remember at one point I traded my vehicle in for a WRX, right? At the time it was what was 2012 or 2000, what was it? 2012, 2013 body style.
Okay, it was right after they swapped from the bug-eyed.
No, it wasn't the bug eye. It was the cat eyes is what they called it. It was the model after that one.
Okay.
So basically, like the body was a little bit shorter. It's a little bit kind of like stubbier. So it's like, okay, whatever. So I get into this car and I was like, man, this thing is the best thing ever, right? So I go trade in my car, take it home, you know, driving it around, and I'm like, oh dude, this is awesome. This is the best thing I could have ever done, right? And they told me at the dealership, it's like, well, you have to get insurance, you know, before you leave the dealership. And I was like, oh yeah, I already did. They never checked, right? So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I go home and I was like, maybe I should put insurance on this. I should probably get that done.
Probably best.
Probably best, right? So I remember I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm getting everything, all my paperwork in order. And I call the insurance company and I said, hey, I want to insure this car. It's this year, Subaru, WRX, et cetera, et cetera. And I tell them my age and they're like, all right, cool, yeah, cool. Like, give me a minute. And at the time, I didn't necessarily realize it, but my insurance payment was going to be just as much as my car payment. And I said,
You're 18,
What?
you're young.
Oh,
and
dude.
you got basically a sports car.
Yeah, basically. And at the time, right now, it wouldn't be a lot for like a sports car, like a supercar, but at the time, for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, you know, that I remember they told me it was going to be like $400 something, and I immediately, I was like, oh boy, oh boy. And if you've ever served and you know you were single, you get that paycheck, it's not enough. It's not enough. And I said, oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know how it ended up, but I remember they called me after the week, said, hey, you know, like we need your down payment on the car. And I said, oh yeah, I'll send it over. I never did. I took a car in a week later. There you go.
Yeah, take it back.
There you go. Take it back. I don't want it.
You know,
yeah, it was horrible. I was young and dumb, but after that, you know, like you start to realize, as you grow, you start to like realize, like, maybe I shouldn't be buying dumb stuff.
you get a. It doesn't always happen with age. As you get older, you don't always make the best financially best decisions, and that's just evidence throughout the world. You know, you still see people well into their 40s, 50s who are financially unstable. And, you know, it's not necessarily due to making poor money choices, you know, this, and not to get too deep into this, because this is a conversation we could have for another 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
On just finances alone. But we're sticking to just people who make poor life decisions and go out and buy far beyond their means.
I think it's a mental thing, you know. Just to kind of put it briefly, it's more like you get in your head that, why can't I have the nice things that everybody else has?
I
right?
want it too, damn it.
Exactly. I want it too. Then I should be able to get it. And then you go out, you get it, but then you realize that your situation is not the same as little Joe over here, you know, or little Billy. You know, he's got his ducks in a row. You have all your ducks still, you know, free roaming, and it's like, I need to get them in a row, you know?
Pisses me off. I'll say it 100 times. I'll say it a billion times. I get a good job for once, right? I get a pretty damn good paying job. And the minute I get that, where things are obtainable, all the things I want, and the economy goes to shit.
It keeps,
everything
goes to shit. And
skyrocketed. I got lucky and got a house right as it was starting to go up. So I got in a house and, you know, got a low interest rate.
right.
There was cars I wanted to get. I got me the cars I want now. Mm-hmm. I have a very low interest rate on my car, which is why I will not trade it.
Right.
I have a 2% interest rate on my GTR.
Oh, man, that's nice.
That is
really nice.
I would love a Shelby GT500. If I was to go get a Shelby GT500 right now, at the interest rate that it's at, I'd be paying probably double what I'm paying for the GTR, just because of the interest rate alone.
It'd be obscene.
The insurance on the GTR is not, it's high.
Yeah.
Because of my accident. Besides that, it's relatively cheaper.
Yeah.
On a Shelby, it'd be probably double the price of the actual
Oh
payment.
boy, yeah, that would. Oh God, I couldn't even imagine it. I mean, I can only hope that one day I'll get to have my. I keep telling myself, it's like I'm gonna get a Mustang, and it's just gonna sit in the garage. It's gonna be a garage princess. It's never gonna see the light of day. It's just, I just want it. And then people ask me, it's like, well, why are you gonna do that? It's like, because I want to. Damn it.
Damn it.
Because I want to see that damn thing in there. I want to go through my midlife crisis in my own way. You know.
There are times to where I know if I got rid of the GTR, and everyone's told me this, financially I'd be sitting pretty, because a lot of my money goes towards that GTR.
Oh, yeah.
However, when I go outside and pop open the garage, and I see that sitting there looking at me,
You're like,
hell no, I ain't.
look at that beautiful, look at that beautiful thing sitting there looking at me, pretty.
Well, guys, enough of all my BS that you guys have heard. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have a Happy New Year. We should be wasted come New Year's Eve.
I'm not looking forward to it,
Yep.
but I will have a good time.
Have a good time. Stay safe out there. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys have stuck with us this far, and if you guys are watching, please give a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you guys next time. Make poor decisions. All right, guys, have a good one.
Peace out.
Peace out.